Welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, a podcast where we revisit the classic TV shows of our Gen X childhoods and see how well they hold up today. With your hosts, Carol and Joey.
Hello and welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, where we watch Little House on the Prairie and have opinions about it. My name is Carol.
I'm Joey.
And today we are on episode 11, correct?
Yes.
The voice of Tinker Jones.
We should put that on the bingo card. Carol questions what episode we're on.
Does Carol remember what episode it is?
The problem is that we started with doing two of each, so our podcast number and our episode numbers do not match. So
correct, because we did the pilot. The voice of Tinker Jones.
Yes.
A character we have never met before, will not meet again, so he goes on the disappeared list. But Tinker Jones is the local tinker.
Yes.
He has a little cart.
And yeah.
He is, I'm assuming he is mostly deaf.
Yes.
Because he has trouble hearing. It seems like he can hear, but he has people repeat things several times.
Well, so he can read their lips, I think.
Okay, so maybe he is completely deaf. But
he also is mute as well, which they don't talk about. But he never says anything.
Correct.
And he writes things, and he'll draw things to be able to explain it. So,
So it was really easy for this special guest star to remember his lines because he didn't have any.
Yeah, I hope he negotiated his residuals beyond the number of lines he spoke. I
hope so too.
SOL.
But we meet Tinker because he comes to the Ingalls farm and sells Ma a pot that she apparently had requested. And he sells it to her for 35 cents, which is far cheaper than the mercantile.
Yes.
You would think that Harriet would have shut this guy down by now, but maybe that's why he disappeared.
Well, except for later on, we see how many toys he gave the Oleson kids. So maybe she's just doing it. So
were those toys that he gave them, or were those toys from the store that they were just taking?
Well, Willie seemed pretty upset. So even if they were from the store that he was taking, he was they were still playing with them. So
okay, so Tinker is the local tinker. He's a metalsmith.
Yeah, and he gives toys to the girls. Yeah.
He just gives them. These are beautiful horses, and he just gives them to them. Yeah, there's no charge or anything. He just makes a lot of toys and gives them to the kids.
Yep,
and then sells their mother pots, which we get nicely framed. The next scene, it's just square in the middle of the frame. Look, her new pot. She's serving dinner in her new pot.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very copper. And then we go to the church.
Yeah, because it's Sunday and it's church time.
Yeah. And we find out that not Abel, I want to bring back Abel McKay. Tinker Jones evidently goes to church every Sunday, even though Father Alden says he only comes once a month.
It's a month.
I so enjoy our monthly meetings. And if there was one thing I could do differently about my monthly meetings at the church, would be to have a bell. Not to go from monthly to weekly meetings, but to have a bell. Because that's important.
And
that little handbell they've been using obviously didn't work.
Doesn't cut it for Reverend Alden. They've toned Reverend Alden down here.
Yes.
Quite a bit. He's more of the Reverend Alden we get to know.
Yes.
More of a pacifist, kind of smooth things over type of guy, whereas previously he's been fire and brimstone. You're all going to hell for drinking.
Yes.
Here he's like, he just wants a bell. So he was going to do, everybody put in what you can. We'll see what size bell we can get. And then the Olesons, Harriet stands up and goes, we will finance the bell. And then we're going to put a big plaque with our names on it.
And that really upsets the Kennedys.
Really upsets. Here again, I'm going to say there must be something in the water of Walnut Grove that makes people fly off the handle for little things because
he's like,
this is like a big fight. We won't have it's sacrilege putting your name on the house of God, and
because we all chipped in to build this house and everything like that. And then all of a sudden it's town party, country party all over again because, when Larson, who helped found the town, as you can see, there, founded by Larson, he's like, well, I'm okay with it. He's like, well, he goes, if we have to rebuild the whole church just to make a new place to put the bell, we can do that. He's like, well, of course, because you would sell us the lumber.
It's it's over the top how angry they are about this bell.
Yes. Except for Abel McKay's dad. Abel McKay's dad is the man who snores in the front row. This is his second of 4 appearances.
Pay for it, that doesn't cost us any money. But then it'll be Olsonville. She's going to change the name of the town. And
foreshadowing.
I know.
Episode series season 9.
Yes.
But yes. But yeah.
They just get violently opposed to the bell or violently for the bell. And people are like, we're never going to this church again. We'll go to Springfield 50 miles out and we'll go to church there. We'll worship at home. Everyone's like, screw you, Reverend Alden, and your bell. It's over the top how angry they get.
Crazy. And this is where things get weird. Okay. So as an advocate for the disabled, as somebody who is disabled, I want to point out a couple things. All this arguing is going on, and Tinker Jones, kind of like Abel McKay, back of the church, and he's very sad. But how can he understand? Because he can't read their lips, which it seems from previous episodes that's it. And they state that he's deaf, but he's actually mute. So if he can hear what they're upset about, then
why doesn't he go to
he's not deaf? And if he can not hear, then he may not understand what all is happening. So
and more to the point, why doesn't he go to like Reverend Alden afterwards and says, hey, I can, he'd not say, but look, I'll build a bell. I'll make a bell.
Right.
But he doesn't. I love after that fight, they just show Tinker Jones wandering around the outside of the church like he forgot where he parked his buggy or something.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even like he's trying to like look at their faces or anything. He's just standing there like he can just sense the unhappiness.
Yeah.
Now listen, this is my type of guy. Same with Dirk. I like the big burly guys. You look at my husband, this. So I have a soft spot for this guy, but it's just kind of crazy. But I like the episode. But then it becomes that the kids go to school or Sunday school and they're not allowed to chat with each other. We see another episode, another week of the church, and it's literally the Ingalls and 2 other people on one side and the Olsons on the other side and 2 people, and that's it.
Incidentally, did you see Miss Beadle and Mr. Hanson
they're
constantly in the same pew, and it's like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Well, because he tried to do the thing with Grace Snyder, and
she ran off.
Then that became an Edwards thing. So whatever.
But nobody's going to church anymore. The kids can't talk to each other, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And these kids that have to come straight home and do all the chores suddenly have time to sneak out early in the morning and late at night because the Tinker comes up with the great idea of making the bell. Yeah. And it is a great idea.
Yeah.
But what does he become? He really becomes the Fagin, for those of you who love Oliver Twist, of the community, because suddenly the kids are stealing everything.
They're stealing that is probably oil drums, toys, everything. They're just stealing all of these things from the farm and from Hanson's and from the mercantile.
Yeah.
Even Nellie and Willie are in on it, just stealing a bunch of metal stuff.
Well, I do love this because when they're all talking about it at the Tinker, And they're saying, why would you want to do this? And it's like, well, do you guys ever want to play together again? And then finally somebody looks at Ellie and says, do you want to have people to torture or not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. She's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Let's build this bell.
Yeah. So yeah. So the big antagonist nemesis of the Olsons this time is not the Ingalls.
No,
it is the Kennedys. Mrs. Kennedy is teaching nurse a Sunday school every Sunday. So Mrs. Ingalls says, I'm going to go talk to her. And they look like they're about to come to a resolution. And in comes Mr. Kennedy with his sweaty long johns on. Thank God he was not shirtless. And he comes in and says, I don't know who rules things at your house, Mrs. Ingalls, but at my house, my word is law. And Mrs. Kennedy never speaks up. Not once.
No. She just runs to the back of the house. It's icky. Plus, they're getting mad over a freaking bell.
Yeah.
Which
honestly, like, there's so much else
in the first place.
Yeah, there's so much else. Like, how about like making the church bigger so it could actually fit all the townspeople?
More than 3 families.
Yeah.
Or build a church in and of itself, since this is technically the schoolhouse.
Yeah. So Mr. Kennedy's claim to fame is that he has the first swear word in Little House. He says damn.
Yeah. And Carolyn is outraged. I don't use that type of language in my house.
But you let a raccoon
had a few choice words about Jasper the raccoon last episode. We just didn't see it while she was sweeping the flour off the floor.
Yeah.
But the kids steal a bunch of stuff, and Tinker makes the bell. I can't say it'd be a quality bell with some of the stuff they were throwing into that metal pit. Also, can I just say, this dude's, he's got a smelter.
Huge smelter.
Yeah. That is just open. And all of these kids are like...
He tells them to stand back, and they stand back all of 1.5 feet. He has no leather apron on, nothing on that you would normally see.
Protecting his face. I mean, there's got to be fumes. But no, these kids are just
and
like...
no water to cool it off.
And spitting all over the place. And I'm like,
gurgle. Yeah.
Yeah. But he molds the bell. And then in the middle of the night...
They do it in a week again. Do it in a week.
Yeah.
And the Saturday is when they literally... And then in the middle of the night, somehow he gets that thing.
And he attaches it.
All by himself.
Yeah.
But they don't show how they do that.
He did that. We see him hoisting it up, but we don't see how he attached it.
You see the hole where he would have had to drop the nail in, and how do you do that? But whatever. It gets done. It gets done. And then he starts ringing the bell. How does he know that it's a good ringing sound? He has to go by the vibrations. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I have a very close friend who is legally blind and legally deaf. But it is a challenge. And then they all see what he's done, and they burst into thunderous applause for the deaf man.
Yeah.
Who cannot hear. I mean, obviously he knows because he
knows that they're cheering him, but
he can't hear. And he continues to ring the bell. The deaf man rings the bell, and that's the voice of Tinker Jones, is the sound of the bell.
Which everybody with miles and miles away can hear.
Yeah. And they're like, what is that sound? I guess we need to go put on our fancy clothes.
And Kennedy's Kennedy's there in his long johns again, because he's raring for a fight, thinking Harriet Oleson built her freaking bell. I don't understand why the town people didn't go to Tinker in the first place.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he be the logical choice to make the bell?
Well, and also, given how we have seen anytime Mom and Pop goes to visit another family, these other families are so strict with their kids. How are these kids disappearing for hours and hours? And literally, what are they doing? Because all we see them do is hand him stuff that they've stolen and hand him wood. We don't see them out there chopping the wood. We don't see them getting the water.
We do see 2 of the boys sawing.
Right.
2 of the older boys. I think one of those was Sean Penn.
Yeah. So let's talk about our special guests a little bit.
Yeah.
This episode is actually directed by Leo Penn, and being nepotistic like we are, he puts both of his wife and his son in there. So this is the first acting credit for Sean Penn, who really doesn't say anything. He's just an uncredited kid. But you do see him several times. And if you don't know who Sean Penn is, I can't help you. Yeah. But Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Madonna.
Yeah. He used to be married to Madonna. He's a very good actor himself.
Robin Wright. I can't
so Mrs. Kennedy, Sunday school teacher, is played by Eileen Ryan, who was an actress, but she was also married to Sean Penn. She was in a couple episodes of Bonanza, so she does have that connection. Mr. Kennedy is Wayne Heffley. He is in both Gunsmoke and Bonanza multiple times.
I recognize him, yeah.
But he actually is the grandfather of Jason Becker. And if you don't know who Jason Becker is, he played backup for David Lee Roth of Van Halen. So pretty interesting there. And then we have Hans Dorfler, who plays James or Jim Jeter. He actually is going to end up being in 9 episodes. We don't really see him here, but that's the first time he's a part of the village. And we do have Jimmy McNichol in there, Christy McNichol's brother. He's in for 3 episodes, but kind of like Sean, not a lot of words.
He's just in the background. Yeah. Sean Penn, I think, just like, with the kids and everything like that. But he's got blonde hair in this one.
Yeah, very much like his Fast Mom of Ridgemont Times. Yeah. Very sun-bleached blonde, which would be appropriate. So,
and who plays Tinker Jones?
Tinker Jones is played by Chuck McCann, and Chuck McCann
from thousands of episodes of 70s TV.
Yeah, he is just a character actor all over the place. So, you definitely would see him in a bunch of different episodes. But
he's incidentally not deaf or not mute. He just plays the mute here.
No. Chuck McCann, you probably seen in a couple of episodes of Sid and Marty Krofft along the way.
Yeah.
But he is actually still alive today. No, he died in 2018. Oh. But he did a lot of voiceover work for being a deaf guy and a mute guy in this one. He did Powerpuff Girls, he did DuckTales, he did Garfield. So all of the different ones. So definitely somebody who's been around a long time, and he acted right up until his death. So he was in things through 2015, and he passed in 2018. So
definitely a face you recognize, even if you don't recognize the name. And you'll get that a lot with Little House episodes. You get a lot of character actors that come through there that you'll go, oh, I know that guy, but you don't know his name.
Yeah, he actually even had his own afternoon TV show called The Chuck McCann Show.
I think that's where I first stumbled onto him.
Yeah, and he used to play, he recreated a version of Oliver Hardy for like Standard Oil. So, and he actually knew Stan Laurel. So, from Laurel and Hardy. So he definitely was a lot of times the grumpy person or the sidekick in a lot of different things. But yeah, he was definitely somebody you would have known. You've probably heard his voice, even though you didn't hear it.
Even though you don't hear it in this episode at all. So, except for the bell, which is the voice of Tinker Jones.
Yes.
Who you will never see again.
Yes, beloved character we will never see again. And if you go to IMDb trivia, you'll start to see that being noticed. Somebody went through and started putting in.
You never see this person
beloved
again.
Characters who appear never to be seen again. They just solve the problem. That's all they do.
Yeah, which is such a silly problem that it's kind of funny watching the episode how angry everyone gets at everything. And how ineffectual Reverend Alden is about smoothing things over. Because later on, he's good at that. But here,
he caused the problem. And literally, he talks about the fact that he was going to step down from the church.
Yeah.
Of all the things that Alden has done up to this point, this would not have been the thing I would have had him step down for.
No.
When he was yelling at because the fathers weren't there during, harvest time and all that. And the drinking episodes
and the
when
drinking
he thought,
and you're all going to hell. This is just very, I don't know. The
there's something
extreme
that
anger.
something that you really notice in 70s television is most of the episodes in 70s television are based on miscommunication or lack of direct communication. If people had talked to each other directly, we wouldn't have had these issues. But people get mad, they storm out of the room, they say, don't tell Ma, don't tell Pa.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had just told these things, it would have been solved a lot faster.
Yeah.
But how are you going to fill up that hour of television unless you have some miscommunication or misdirection? That's what Three's Company was entirely based on. And that's
the premise of the show.
Yeah, the premise of the show is what misunderstanding are they going to get into next time? And we see this a lot here in Walnut Grove. If they would just talk to each other. Honestly, the fact that they were all upset, the fact that the thing that blew my mind was not how quickly they got upset about it, but it was also the fact that how quickly they got upset about it. And nobody said, no, we don't need a bell. We need you here every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe they said that because they didn't want it here every week.
When he said that, my first thought is, well, who's preaching every week? Because Carolyn Ingalls is dragging those girls to church every week.
Right.
But then Charles later on in the episode says the elders take turns. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's the Hanson and the Olsons. Although Kennedy makes a point of saying, is she going to start giving the sermon? And Harriet is outraged because this is very much the time where women don't speak.
Right.
Women were not priests or pastors or anything, or reverends.
Right.
So she's kind of horrified at that notion. So maybe she's not doing, but who are the elders of the town that are pretty soon they'll just flip a switch, and whenever Reverend Alden isn't there, it's just going to be Pa Ingalls because we need.
And that was the first time I'd heard of the other town that they were going to go to that was 15 miles away. Yeah. We don't talk about Springfield. We're always talking about Mankato.
Mankato, but you don't go to Mankato for church because that's an outlaw town. That's full of criminals.
Except for Mankato was where the preacher came from for the previous episode. If I should wake before I die.
Before I die. Yep.
It was the new preacher from Mankato because she was Catholic.
Priest because she was Catholic.
Right.
They couldn't do Reverend Alden because he's just a reverend. So obviously Mankato has a Catholic church, but maybe not a standard, Baptist church. But still, do you know how long a Sunday it would be if you're driving your family 50 freaking miles for church service?
15, but still. 50. No, 15.
Okay.
But still,
that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better.
But if it takes a horse, that's 30 miles round trip. You can't do that in a single day. They weren't really going to go to church. They were going to hide out in their upstairs.
They were just going to, do what the Wingles do, and we'll just worship at home.
Yeah. So
because Reverend Alden's like, well, I may join you on that, Charles. It's like, why don't you smooth things over with your congregation there, Alden, and show up every week?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever weekly with Reverend Alden, because I know there's a couple of towns that I think it does become like twice a month or something.
Yeah.
That he shows up. And then it's just Charles filling in because we have to make Michael Landon seem as holy as possible.
Yes,
more and more holy.
We've got to make the man who embraces his Jewish faith as holy as possible in the
as Christian as possible. So this wasn't a bad episode. I find this one funny because the townsfolk get so outraged over a bell.
So outraged over it, yet to have no idea where their children are. The children steal blind from them. And they're
not
just
one
happy
person
there's a bell.
In this entire town thought maybe we should ask our tinker to make the bell.
Yeah. Because we've already figured out it's cheaper with the tinker. So
yeah.
You would have thought that this would have been a great episode for Pa to come in and save the day and say, hey, why don't we have the tinker do it?
Oddly he does not.
All right.
Doesn't cry.
Yes. There is no crying.
There's no
swearing.
Charles. There's swearing.
Yeah.
That's a new one for the show.
Laura and Nellie kind of get in a fight, but it's really Laura and Christy that get in a fight and immediately make up for it.
Yeah.
No jokes to the outhouse. This is not a bingo card winner, my friends.
No.
Not a bingo card winner.
No, we do need to add special guest star to the bingo card, I think, though.
We do have the village that disappears.
So Tinker Jones would qualify for that.
We do have a disappearing villager, and you get the free spot for Justice for Jack, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to get a bingo card this
one. So next week, we had a Mary episode. Yay.
Do we?
Yeah, it's the award. The award is next. Yeah, so this is a Mary episode. And like I said before, Mary is as smart or as stupid as the episode needs her to be.
Exactly.
And we will show that next episode.
In the meantime, what should we be talking about next? Let us know. We've got an email address, twowokebonnets@gmail.com. And let us know what you like and don't like about our show. Yep. What things should we be keeping track of next? What things should we be adding to the bingo card? Let us know.
Yep.
In the meantime, have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Two Woke Bonnets. To find out more and to download your bingo card, visit twowokebonnets.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever fine video and audio podcasts are played.